Tonight, in the aftermath of the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting, the faces, names, and stories of the young lives taken.
She is forever my baby, because that's what she was. She was a baby.
A community wrestling with immense loss as accounts of great bravery emerge.
My teacher went out to check and he saw students on the floor.
And with the Prime Minister set to visit, At Issue looks at the political response to the tragedy. Plus, the first sex assault trial of billionaire Frank Stronach gets underway.
Good morning.
What we learn from the testimony of an accuser. And the Canadian men's hockey team make a splashy Olympic return.
Horvat scores! McDavid across scores! They score! It's 5-0.
The gold medal favorites already dominant.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Tumbler Ridge, BC is holding together thanks to the caring and kindness of neighbors, friends, and strangers, all facing the unthinkable, the loss of 8 lives, most of them so young, all taken by a mass shooter. The RCMP now confirming their names. Among those killed at Tumbler Ridge Secondary, Zoe Benoit, Abel Mwansa, Ticaria Lampert, Kylie Smith, all of them just 12 years old. And then there was 13-year-old Ezekiel Schofield and educator Shanda Avigana Durand. Those found dead in their home, the mother and stepbrother of the shooter. Jennifer Strang, identified by police using her legal name, Jennifer Jacobs, and 11-year-old Emmett Jacobs. Ian is in Tumbler Ridge for us tonight. Ian, we've heard about how tightly knit this town is. I know that over the course of the few terrible days, you've been seeing that firsthand.
Everywhere you look, you see people who are clearly sharing their grief, sharing their reminiscences, especially now that the names of the victims are out there. The RCMP says that it released those names of the victims only after careful consultation with the families. And so let's begin our coverage with Julia Wong, who shows us many of those parents want their children to be remembered the way they knew them.
Relatives say Ticaria Lampert was loving, courageous, and one of a kind.
She loved her family fiercely. She just wanted to bring sunshine to everyone and everything she ever touched.
The 12-year-old was known as Tiki to others around her. Her mother and the 7 siblings she leaves behind are reeling from her loss.
It has been the hardest pill to swallow. I still am in disbelief. To accept that my daughter is gone is impossible.
Another victim, Zoe Benoit, is being remembered as vibrant and caring. She brought so much laughter and smiles in her presence. She loved spending time with her family where she could show her love, the family says in a statement released by RCMP. Kylie Smith enjoyed art and school, her family, and friends.
Kylie was an amazing little girl. She was just so full of happiness and love, and she just cared for everybody, and she just wanted the best for everybody. She just, she was the first person to help anybody that needed help, and, if she never bullied anybody, she was just such a good-hearted kid.
Abel Mwansa was respectful and hardworking, and known for his big smile.
He was so polite and so good and well-spoken, and for a 12-year-old child, I thought, man, he is so mature and so intelligent.
This growing memorial is where many have come to pay their respects, including BC Premier David Eby. In this tight-knit community, everyone is feeling the deep loss.
I have a group of kids in town, junior rangers, and one of them was killed, and the other's in she's in critical condition.
A resident of Tumbler Ridge for about 30 years, Glenn Miller says it's difficult to think about anything else right now.
It's been pretty hard, I don't sleep, don't eat. We'll get over it, like sun's still shining, but just not as bright.
2 victims remain in hospital. One, 12-year-old Maya Gebala, who is critically wounded in the shooting, clinging to life in the hospital.
I feel like I'm living in a nightmare right now that I just can't wake up from. She's an incredible human being. She's strong. And if anybody's going to make it out of this, it's definitely going to be her.
Julia, the anguish shared by so many people, it has been drawing leaders, the Premier, as we saw already, and soon the Prime Minister.
Yeah, that's right. Mark Carney will be traveling to Tumbler Ridge on Friday after getting an invitation from the mayor, and all the party leaders will be traveling with him. They will be attending a vigil that's been organized by the community, and it'll take place at the town hall, which is not too far from where we are, and that will start at 6 p.m. local time. And this vigil is being billed as a place for people to come together to reflect and to honor the victims.
Julia Wong, thank you very much. The memorial in Julia's story has been growing quickly, just steps from where we are in front of Tumbler Ridge Secondary. Flowers, candles, pictures of those lost. Caroline Bargut shows us how this town is grappling with the tragedy and, for some, the terrifying moments that they live through inside the school.
Duncan Mackay doesn't know if he can ever go back to Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. He and his cousin were in gym class on Tuesday when they heard gunshots.
Then my teacher went out to check, and he saw students on the floor. On the top floor, he went up to see, and he saw bullet holes in the glass, came back down.
The teacher locked the students in an equipment room and tried to distract them.
He managed to keep everyone in that equipment room, calm. He kept lifting up the mood whenever it started going down. He maybe cracked a joke, keep everyone morale up.
It was about 2 hours before police came and escorted them out of the school, past the blood and bullet holes that told the story of what had happened.
I was looking around. There was like the back of someone's heel, footprints, On like the heel there was blood.
Duncan was in school that day, but his mother, Tiffany Hildebrandt, kept his 12-year-old brother home.
I don't know why I didn't send him to school. The day before, he was kind of pale, so I just didn't wake him up the next day. And if I did, it could have been very different for our family, because those were all his classmates.
That boy's best friend died in the shooting. The family had just moved to Tumbler Ridge in September. It immediately felt like home, but that feeling has been shaken.
We lock our doors down. We didn't lock our doors when we got here. My children lock our doors. They're scared.
Hildebrandt and her business partner own a bistro in town. They decided to stay open to feed first responders and provide a safe place for the community and for the affected families to go.
I just wanted to be here for them if they want to talk, if they want a shoulder to lean on, if they just need a place to go so people leave them alone. We're here.
Caroline, that bistro has become a real hub for the community and a symbol, really, of how this community has drawn even more closely together.
You're right, Ian. And just to give you a sense of how intertwined this community really is, while Tiffany Hildebrandt was waiting to find out if her 3 children were okay while they were locked down in that school, she got a call from someone in the community saying that they had come across a child that needed a safe place to go. So Hildebrandt said, bring them here. Well, that child happened to be another sibling of the shooter who had just gone home, found his mother and brother had been shot to death and needed a place to go, so went to neighbors.
Wow. Caroline Bargut, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks to you, Ian. Now, in Julia Wong's story a few moments ago, you heard from Maya's father. CBC News also spoke with her mother, Sia Edmonds, about how she learned about what happened to her daughter and how Maya and they are faring right now.
I was working with a client and I get a call from a family friend and she says the school's on lockdown. There's a group of parents parked in the rec center parking lot that's adjacent from the high school, so you can see there. And I walked up to one of Maya's best friend's dad, who showed me a text message from Abison, and he was in the building at the time, and he says, "Dad, I'm fine." And I said, "Ask him how Maya is." And then he shows me again, and it says, "Maya's been dragged out, and I believe she's been shot." There's a bullet here that went through her earlobe, and then through the head and out the back. And then one was stuck in her throat. I still don't know if they found that one. Today she moved, and it was a movement that they said that they hadn't seen because she didn't have a gag reflex. Her pupils aren't dilating. So, and she's not coughing. So as far as they were telling me last night, they said the best case scenario is that she's going to be tube fed and hospitalized for the rest of her life if you continue to try to let her live. And I just kept telling them that there's no way, I can feel it in my heart that she's coming back. She's not going to give up. And she's going to come back and she's going to show everybody. And I just can't wait for that day.
Now, British Columbia is marking a day of mourning for the Tumbler Ridge victims. In the provincial legislature, a planned speech from the throne was postponed.
Everybody from all parties understood why we could not go ahead with the throne speech today, why we couldn't go on with business as normal, because this is not a normal day for British Columbia or for Canada.
Earlier, leaders, lawmakers, and First Nations elders held a moment of silence for those who lost their lives. Now, tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from the father of Jesse Van Root-Salar, the shooter in this crime. Let's go to Lindsay Duncombe now. Lindsay, what did he have to say?
Well, Adrian, Justin Van Root-Salar also lives in Tumbler Ridge. In a statement, he says he is the biological father of the individual responsible. And he goes on to say that he has a sorrow that is difficult to put into words. He says he was estranged from the shooter and not given the opportunity to be part of raising the shooter. He says Jesse Van Root-Salar did not use that family name at any point. CBC News has not verified those claims. In part of the statement, Justin Van Root-Salar speaks to the victims, to the families who have lost their loved ones, and to every person who has been affected by this senseless and unforgivable act of violence. I offer my most heartfelt condolences. I cannot begin to imagine the depth of your grief. Please know that you are in my thoughts and prayers, and that I share in the profound sadness that has settled over our community.
And Lindsay, you've been looking into the family's history with firearms. What more have you learned tonight?
Well, we are learning that some people in Tumbler Ridge, Adrian, had been worried for years about firearms in the house where the shooter's mother and stepbrother were killed. Worried because the shooter had mental health problems. The RCMP say police had visited the home on several occasions and that the shooter was apprehended and treated for mental health. I learned about this concern from a conversation with the head of the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. He was talking to members of his group, gun owners in Tumbler Ridge, and they wanted to know why firearms were seized from the residence and then returned after the owner of those firearms petitioned to get them back. It's important to point out that there's a lot we don't know here. We don't know who owned the guns that were taken and returned, and we don't know if those firearms were used in the crime.
I'd like to see some accountability. I'd like to know what went into the decision to return those firearms, when they were returned. What was the procedure? What was the due diligence that the RCMP was involved, and others, psychologists or whoever? I'd like to know what those steps that were taken were before those firearms were returned to a clearly inappropriate environment.
Earlier today on Power and Politics, the RCMP said records related to those guns, why they were taken away and why they were given back, are sealed.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. That's Lindsay Duncombe in Vancouver. So we want to let you know there is free confidential mental health support available. In British Columbia, you can call 310-6789. And young people nationwide can contact Kids Help Phone at 1-800-668-6868. You can also text or go online. And if you're in an immediate mental health crisis, please call 988 all across Canada. Turning to other news now, in Toronto, billionaire businessman Frank Stronach's sexual assault trial is underway. It is the first of 2 trials he'll face this year, but he's denied any wrongdoing. Jamie Strachan was in court today as proceedings began.
Good morning.
93-year-old Frank Stronach strides into a downtown Toronto courthouse. Inside, his former employee told the court about a series of alleged sexual assaults that took place in 1981. The night began at Stronach's downtown restaurant. Stronach unexpectedly appeared at her table with a bottle of champagne. The woman, who didn't drink, testified she had a few sips. Then, Stronach allegedly groped her on the dance floor. The next morning, she woke up unsure of where she was. "I'm terrified and I'm naked and I don't know how I got there," she told the court.
It's absolutely wrong. I can look in the mirror. I've never done anything improper.
Stronach pleaded not guilty to all charges and, in an interview last year with the CBC's Fifth Estate, denied any wrongdoing.
My friends know me who I am, right? Okay? And a lot of people which worked for me, they know who I am.
He faces 12 charges based on allegations from 7 women, including sexual assault and forcible confinement spanning from the late 70s to 1990. Decades on, the Crown must contend with faded memories. The defense, with no recordings or video evidence, says this lawyer not involved with this case.
From my practice defending sexual assault cases, the first interview when it's a recent complaint is getting the phones, any communications, looking for CCTV of the incident.
Stronach's celebrity is also a factor in this case.
It's a sign of a good guy.
He founded auto parts giant Magna International, becoming one of Canada's wealthiest people. This expert says Stronach's fame could make it daunting for victims.
Like, I'm a nobody, and he's a somebody. And am I really going to have a fair trial? What's it going to be like for me to come up against him?
Stronach faces another trial on similar charges later this year. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
The FBI has new details about the suspect in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie in Tucson, Arizona. Authorities now say the person seen on the doorbell camera footage is between 5'9" and 5'10", with an average build. Nancy Guthrie is the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. She was reported missing February the 1st. The FBI is also boosting the reward for information leading to an arrest from $50,000 to $100,000. To Italy now, where Michael Kingsbury has secured another Olympic medal for Canada and cemented his place as the most decorated freestyle skier in history. Sarah Levitt now with the razor-thin run that landed him silver and the many emotions that followed.
Cooper Woods has done it!
A shocking finish to the Olympic men's moguls final in Livigno, Italy. Australian Cooper Woods besting Canadian Michael Kingsbury for gold, despite having the same score on their final run. A rare moment of frustration for the undisputed best freestyle skier of all time.
You're so close, and it's 2 Olympics in a row that I'm so close. Yeah.
Solid run from Mick.
At the competition, there was some confusion over how to break the tie for the top spot.
So, how does that work?
The International Ski Federation has a rule for those moments, and they have to go, the breakdown would go directly to the highest base score, the strongest turn scores.
Still, Kingsbury's legacy is solid.
Félicitations, Mick. You're now the most successful freestyle skier in Olympic history. Did you know that?
Yeah, my dad told me that a couple minutes ago, but yeah, that's pretty special.
Michael Kingsbury!
With 4 Olympic medals in 4 games, 3 silvers and 1 gold, that is the most by any male or female freestyle skier. But that's not all.
The 100th victory on the World Cup ascent.
Kingsbury managed to earn his 100th career World Cup victory, another record for a freestyle skier. These Olympics, though, were a little different. A first for Kingsbury as a father, something he says has given him a new perspective on life. He's confirmed this is his last Olympics, but it's not done yet. With dual moguls making its debut, another chance to show he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Livigno, Italy.
Another big Olympic moment, this time for 24-year-old Elliot Grondin, who captured silver in the snowboard cross final.
Battling for gold! Who's gonna get it? It's Hammerley! It's Grondin for silver! It's Dushek for bronze! What a race!
He missed gold by just 3/100ths of a second, a familiar result for Grondin, who also placed second at the Beijing Games in 2022, just behind Austria's Alessandro Hammerley. This is Grondin's 3rd Olympic medal.
Back to New Brunswick, stand up! Courtney Sarault sliding into 3rd place.
So much excitement. And on the short track oval, Courtney Sarault won bronze for Canada in the women's 500 meters after a very strong push on her final lap. The 25-year-old from Moncton has now won 2 medals at Milano-Cortina. She also helped Canada secure silver in the mixed relay. Now, Courtney Sarault's bronze brings Canada's medal count to 7. Italy has the most medals overall. Norway has taken home the most golds with 7. Now, Canada's men's hockey team has made a statement in Milan, decisively beating Czechia in their tournament opener. Briar Stewart now on the excitement as fans watched NHLers return to Olympic ice for the first time in 12 years.
What an atmosphere in this building.
As the puck dropped in Canada's first men's hockey matchup of the 2026 Games, the Santa Julia Arena thundered with Czechia fans. But thousands were here to cheer on Canada too, as they watched NHL stars return to the Olympics for the first time since 2014. The first period nearly went by without a goal.
Here's a Makar shot, score!
Until 19-year-old Macklin Celebrini tipped one in during the last few seconds.
Anxious, kind of getting up to the game, heart racing, but once we got out there, it was a lot of fun to play with the group.
And then Canada just kept scoring.
Horvat scores! McDavid across scores! They score! It's 5-0.
We love watching the skill level. To see them all play together is just fantastic.
This is our first experience being at the Olympics ever, so it's really cool.
Czechia fans grew quieter as the game continued. By the end, Canada won 5-0. Goalie Jordan Binnington started off his Olympic run with a shutout.
It's one game, it's one day, and we got to keep building, getting better and better each day.
How much better? What do you think their chances are then for a gold medal?
High, yeah. You can't stop that power play either. Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid, are you kidding me?
This is one of Canada's toughest matches in the preliminary round, and the team won it easily.
And that's the final. See you in the final. We won't see him in the final. No, but the fact that Canada can come out here and play the way that they do, it's unbelievable.
Among these fans, confidence is so high that they're already practicing for the gold medal. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Milan.
The Trump administration has torn up a mandate that was aimed at protecting Americans from the ravages of climate change.
Saying that greenhouse gas emissions don't endanger public health, it's clearly untrue.
The U.S. president's justification and why some call the move an act of corruption. And a last-minute dash to catch an Olympic debut.
I think we were all just shocked. He was pretty shocked, too.
We're back in 2. The Trump administration is ending nearly 2 decades of science-based policy on climate change. As Susan Ormiston shows us, environmentalists are sounding the alarm on the rollback from the White House.
This is a big one if you're into environment. This is about as big as it gets, they tell me.
They would be the fierce lobby that for 16 years has been determined to kill greenhouse gas regulations, from power plants to vehicles.
We are officially terminating the so-called endangerment finding, a disastrous Obama-era policy.
A bedrock finding in 2009, based on science, that polluting emissions are dangerous for people. It gave power to the Environmental Protection Agency to regulate and curb emissions.
It's a big setback for American climate policy, saying that greenhouse gas emissions don't endanger public health and current and future generations. It's clearly untrue.
But it could revitalize climate change deniers and offer impunity for polluters, stripping away regulations to cut back greenhouse gases or curb tailpipe emissions. Trump claims it will save $1 trillion in regulatory costs. The Union of Concerned Scientists say failing to tackle fossil fuel emissions will cost much more. Ramming through this unlawful, destructive action at the behest of polluters is an obvious example of what happens when a corrupt administration and fossil fuel interests are allowed to run amok. This in the same week that Donald Trump was rewarded by coal producers for resuscitating aging coal plants in the U.S.
Clean, beautiful coal. Clean, beautiful coal.
Likely This appeal will be challenged, possibly up to the U.S. Supreme Court. To date, courts have rejected overturning that landmark endangerment finding. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Toronto.
After the break, Rosie's here with that issue. Hi, Rosie.
Hi, Adrienne. Tonight, we're obviously going to talk about how the Prime Minister and other party leaders are responding to the tragedy in Tumbler Ridge.
We will get through this, we will learn from this, but right now it's a time to come together, as Canadians always do.
What's to be made of this show of unity in the face of tragedy? Chantal, Althea, and Andrew join me to talk about that and more.
An official day of mourning in British Columbia, but grief's grip is so strong in Tumbler Ridge as the community tries to handle the loss of 8 lives, many of them children, the youngest just 11 years old. They were killed Tuesday in that mass shooting that has shaken so many. The victims being remembered at community vigils tonight as this loss is felt across this country and far beyond. Now, few are carrying a weight as heavy as the one Sarah Lampert is dealing with. She is the mother of 12-year-old Ticaria Lampert. Tonight, she shared with the world what she loved most about her daughter. Here's some of what she had to say.
Tiki was her name. Ticaria. We called her Tiki. My Tikaroo. She grew loud and proud on her own time. Not a person to ever be pushed or rushed. But when it was her time, she was a storm. I called her my tiki torch. She's always been a blazing light in the darkness. And if you didn't manage to see her, you would definitely hear her. She was a tiki torch powered by love and happiness. She rarely knew fear. Innocent should have been her name. Always out on an adventure to brighten someone's day by giving and sharing her gift of laughter. She loved her family fiercely, her grandma, her siblings, her uncles, everybody. Her friends were her everything. She just wanted to bring sunshine to everyone and everything she ever touched. She was always there to help.
So that was Sarah Lampert, the mother of 12-year-old Ticaria Lampert, one of the 6 people killed at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. So there's a lot more to talk about on this. Rosie and the Ad Issue team are here, and they started their conversation with Tumbler Ridge.
At issue tonight, Tumbler Ridge. Canadians are mourning the tragedy in BC. Political leaders are offering support.
The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. We will get through this, we will learn from this, but right now it's a time to come together, as Canadians always do.
This is a time for all Canadians to unite, to support the families and the community at large.
So how are politicians responding to the shooting in BC, and what does the show of unity mean for the people affected, for the country? I'm Rosemary Barton, here to discuss. Chantal Lampert, Andrew Coyne, Althea Raj. I should say that the Prime Minister is headed to British Columbia tomorrow to attend a memorial, a vigil, and he has asked all the opposition leaders to go with him, and they have all taken him up on that request. So everyone's in another show of unity going out to do this together. Andrew, in this moment, what does political leadership have to look like, whether it be the Prime Minister or anyone else?
Well, these sorts of moments always have somebody saying that the leaders put politics aside. But of course, they can never put politics aside. They are in politics. It's not a part-time job. They're under scrutiny at all times. And in fact, what we require them is to be very political about putting politics aside. They have to find, and it's politics in the best sense of the word, of being politic, of finding the right word, the right gesture that fits the mood of the moment, that captures the mood of the public in this. And they all did a credible job of that. But the notion that this is you can depoliticize this. I'll just take one aspect of this desire for unity. Well, the desire for unity in this country is not universally shared. And so you saw each of the other leaders saying that the nation is united, but the leader of the Bloc Québécois only wanted to talk about the Quebec nation. Each of those were choices. They're each defensible, but don't let us pretend that there wasn't politics running through all those remarks.
It was the first time the Bloc leader had spoken English inside the House of Commons, though, and he did that to make a signal to British Columbia, obviously. Althea, you want to pick up on that point, but also just what you think the moment calls for.
You know, sometimes I think I'm the cynical one on this panel, but alas, Andrew is there to grab the mantle away from me. I actually thought it was a really refreshing show of nonpartisanship. It feels really sad to say that the worst moments, the biggest tragedies seem to unite us, but that is also perhaps a really good thing and something we should welcome, that, you know, when there's national grief, our political leaders come together and the partisan battles that we hear in the House of Commons are completely set aside. And the demonizing of your opponent is gone, and now we are coming together as a group. And I did not see the leader of the Bloc Québécois speech that way at all. I thought it was actually quite nice of him basically to say to Quebecers, his voters, I'm going to speak English now because not everybody in British Columbia has had a chance to learn French, so let me speak directly to them. And you see that across the country. You know, there are so many MPs who do and help other constituents from different ridings at all times. And, you know, I used to work as a parliamentary intern for a member of the Bloc Québécois in a nonpartisan program where you're sent to the opposition and to the government. And the Bloc was helping a BC MP, BC constituents, consular cases. So there are moments of nonpartisanship and things like that. I just want to kind of reframe that Bloc thing because I don't think it was fair to Yves-François Blanchet.
Okay, put that part aside, Chantal, and tell me what you. Okay,
no,
don't put it aside. Go ahead. Sure.
I can't put that part aside either, for the same reason. Yves-François Blanchet is elected only by Quebecers, as opposed to any other leader in the House of Commons. It is totally natural for him to speak in the name of the Quebec nation, or at least the section of it that recognizes itself in the Bloc. And I don't believe a single Quebecer thought that there was anything called playing politics in that sense.
Okay.
What I mostly heard, and I'm closer to Althea's take on this, are people who are parents speaking as parents and as political leader. And it was authentic because you could tell that side of them was more important in what they had to say, and their understanding of the tragedy that has taken place than any political interest. Am I looking good? Will this be a good clip for the social media? And it was actually refreshing to find that all of them were not trying to audition for a clip on social media.
Yeah, I mean, there was a remarkable amount of emotion from everyone, which is obviously normal, but the Prime Minister and Pierre Poilievre in particular, very, very emotional and making it quite personal. Andrew, I'll let you have the last word.
Well, they're people. Of course they're going to be affected emotionally, but they're also people with a spotlight on them who have responsibilities. When I say they're being political, I'm not saying that in a negative sense. I went out of my way to say it's being politic. But to pretend that they're not conscious that every word and every phrase that they're saying is going to be parsed and that they have to avoid putting a foot wrong is, I think, foolish. And to also say that they would not also be looking for ways to insert their own points. All sides did it. You could notice the moments when they did it. They weren't doing it foolishly. They weren't doing it cynically. They were doing it because these are the moments when you have to be politic.
Yeah, and I would imagine, and we'll leave it, but I would imagine as well, the conversation will become political going forward. And they all acknowledge that as well, that wasn't the day for that to happen, but there will obviously be questions and policy issues around that will have to be discussed.
That's right.
More about what happened, yeah. Okay, we're going to leave this block there. Thank you all for weighing in on that. A difficult subject on a difficult week. When we come back, we'll talk about just the things we normally talk about. Donald Trump's opposition to the Gordie Howe Bridge.
He fast-tracked it in 2017. And so all of a sudden he changed his mind and said it's not good.
So what's been made of this latest tension point with the U.S. and reports of the growing uncertainty around the future of CUSMA at all? That's next. At issue, U.S. tensions. The U.S. president continues to take aim at Canada, this time opposing the opening of the new Gordie Howe Bridge between Windsor and Detroit, claiming the deal would rip off the U.S. and was built without U.S. steel. The PM says he spoke to the president to clarify his misconceptions.
Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge, over $4 billion, that the ownership is shared between the state of Michigan and the government of Canada, and that in the construction of the bridge, obviously there's Canadian steel, Canadian workers, but also U.S. steel, U.S. workers.
So this latest dust-up with the U.S. comes after reports that Trump is also considering leaving the trade agreement entirely, the one that he signed with Canada and Mexico. Here to break down this latest dispute between Canada and the U.S., Chantal, Andrew, and Althea. I mean, we might be doing a block of this every week at this stage. It feels like every week there's something else, some other threat or idea that the president had. In this case, it's my understanding he was being lobbied by the developer, the owner of the other bridge, who was worried about losing money. So there's a couple of interesting things, both from the president and I think the prime minister. Chantal, you start us off there.
It seems to me after a couple of days that President Trump scored in his own net. In the end, there was not a single sentence of his statement that stood the test of reality. And in so doing, I think he kind of shored up the increasing unease of Republicans and others towards his policies on trade. And that was followed fairly quickly by that vote in Congress that didn't go the way that the White House would have wanted. But the other thing is, it's one thing to stop a project that has not yet happened. You can walk beyond that, stop a pipeline from being built. Say somebody wakes up tomorrow and says, we're not going to do the fast train between Toronto and Montreal. Well, it doesn't exist. But it's another thing to tell people the bridge is right there, and I'm not going to open it.
Yeah.
And it's sitting there in broad daylight. It's paid for. And the facts of the case actually hurt the credibility for those who still have credibility in Mr. Trump's handling of trade between Canada and the U.S.
I thought too, Andrew, it was interesting that in this instance, the Prime Minister got on the phone with him right away, told us about the conversation to try to clarify immediately what was fact and what was fiction here. And I don't know if that's a different tactic or it's just the first time that he has told us that he's gone about things that way.
Maybe the first time that Trump has heard those things. I mean, you just never know with Trump what mixture of corruption and ignorance and credulity is motivating his actions. So yeah, some guy who owns the other bridge gets on the phone to him, tells him a storyline, presumably, of how he's been hard done by in this, and Trump reacts in the moment. That's one possibility. That's one explanation for this extraordinary action. The second is that this is another demonstration of Trump, of the many ways in which Trump can get mean with us if he chooses to. So if the tariff weapon is running out of steam, I've got other things I can do. I've still got you on my mind. We're interconnected in 100,000 different ways, and I can find all kinds of ways to cause trouble for you if you don't do what I say. That's another possibility. I think the thing we should also note is I don't think it's a done deal this is going to happen. And it has to be noticed this is coming at a moment when there's a whole bunch of things happening that are going against Trump's direction. Yeah. He is rapidly losing altitude. He's now down to the mid-30s in the approval polls. He's been rebuffed in the Congress. They couldn't get a grand jury to sign off on that crazy attempt to indict 6 congresspeople. This may be another marker of his declining power.
Well, and it also, though, could be as that happens, and you've both made that point, you know, how desperate does the president become in terms of the threats? And maybe that's also should be of concern to Canada. But Althea, give me your sense of why this unfolded the way it did.
Andrew, are you saying you don't think the bridge is going to open, or you don't think the threat is going to materialize?
I'd be interested to see whether the threat actually materializes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's this saying, if you read American news all the time or listen to American radio or TV, taco, Trump always chickens out.
Right.
And I was at a conference this week, and the chief economist for TD was presenting, and she noted that only 35% of Trump's tariff threats have actually materialized since November of 2024. In fact, most of those that did materialize actually came in the first part, if you wish, of his new mandate. To me, I think there's two things. One, I think, this is a president who unclear what his motivations are besides lining his own pockets. So Matthew Maroon gets on the phone with Howard Lutnick and says, the owner of the Ambassador Bridge, the only bridge that competes with the new bridge that will come on because the trucks can't go in the tunnel, and says he's going to lose a whole bunch of money, and he will, because this new bridge apparently can get trucks going through it 400 trucks an hour. That's so, if you're a truck driver, which bridge are you going to pick? So, I'm going to lose all this money, do something about it. But his rant on Truth Social, 300-word rant, is incoherent. He tells us that China is going to take away ice hockey and the Stanley Cup. And then also, I think his real motivation comes on. He's mad about there's no American liquor in Ontario liquor stores, which we know he's been lobbied on by American lawmakers. But the real thing to me was we're going to be left with the leftovers. China's going to have first picking over Canada, and then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to get the leftovers. Because if you read the national security policy that they have released just in the late fall, they view Canada as a client state. And that is how the White House wants Canada to exist. And so everything that Canada does to suggest that it's pulling away from the orbit of the United States is a threat to Donald Trump. I, too, agree with Andrew. I don't think it's going to materialize.
Chantal.
I also don't think that anyone in Canada is quaking in fear over this particular rant or many of the others. For the very simple reason, and I think Andrew alluded to that, increasingly this administration is being lobbied by some of its own constituencies over, for instance, the fate of CUSMA. Unless you decide to view CUSMA sitting in Canada as a charity act, an act of benevolence of the United States towards Canada, you have to know that there are some fairly powerful economic interests that do not want to see this unsettled. But if that's going to be the case, I think it's pretty clear by now that the current Prime Minister has the backing of Canadians to not agree to turn Canada into basically a client state of the U.S. administration.
Okay, thank you all. Good conversation as always. That's at issue on The National. We're going to keep this conversation going. We're going to talk about one Conservative MP's decision to refuse a pay increase and the pushback that has come from his own party. You can catch that on YouTube or the At Issue podcast. Now back to Adrian in Toronto.
Thanks, Rosie. Coming up, childhood friends of Seth Jarvis, one of Team Canada's hockey players, go the distance.
Started out with us trying to just get there any way we possibly could.
How they're getting to Milan to watch the team in our moment. So this is Seth Jarvis with a gold medal around his neck, surrounded by his childhood friends after winning the Four Nations Cup last year. Now he's part of Team Canada at the Winter Olympic Games. So Jarvis was named to the roster at the very last minute. Those friends of his, well, that gave them a mission: get to Milan. How they pulled it off makes our moment.
All childhood buddies with Seth. Not being named to the Olympic team at the initial roster, but then being added later, we kind of all scrambled together. It started out with us trying to just get there any way we possibly could, sending a few DMs here and there.
I sent out at least 12 emails, just expecting the worst.
Air Canada actually reached out to send some DMs to like a few of us, like planning some flights. I think we were all just shocked. He was pretty shocked too.
They can't drive like they did last time.
Last year, obviously, when he was named to the Four Nations team, we had some flights booked to go see him in Boston. When it came to the day that we were flying, there was a bunch of weather problems. It came down to like the only way we could get there is drive. And then last year, we came down to Raleigh for a game in the playoffs.
We see in the off season just all of his hard work and dedication he puts in on and off the ice. And then go to the Olympics is just that next milestone he wanted again.
We're lucky that he's happy and willing to share this moment with us as well.
I feel like they would just grab the moment even if he wasn't willing to share it. But he absolutely is willing to share it. And hey, Seth wasn't named to the team until February 6th, the day before the opening ceremony. So that is super tight. From all of us at the National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Please take care.